Hi guys, welcome back to Just Talking, where I talk out you need sometimes listen. So today we're doing a bit of an Avalanche history review and also some of the things of the merchandise for the ride, which is located at Blackpool Pleasure Beach along the northwest coast of England. And I do really like this ride and I put quite a bit of effort into this. But if you do just like this content or it educated you a little bit more on ride history, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and let's get into the history of the ride. So it opened on the 22nd of June by the iconic ski jumper and also Olympian Eddie the Eagle Edwards. And it was the third bobsled coaster that Mack Rides of Germany had actually made, and they did this for £2.5 million and was the first of its kind in the UK. So a visit by the park owner and some of the development staff of Blackpool Pleasure Beach to Europa Park, which at the time was owned by Mack Rides. I'm not too sure if it is now or if it's just co-owned by them, and that would inspire the construction after seeing the same bobsled model from Mack Rides. And of course, they did commission that to the park, and they then later went on to sponsor the bobsled team of Great Britain in 1988 Winter Olympics to give a portion of the ticket sales for the ride to the team. And of course, in the station just behind where this bit is here, there is actually a Great Britain bobsled there, and also the trains are themed around these, where actually, I got that wrong, the bobsled's actually over here. So that is a really nice centrepiece in the station as well. And of course, within its first year, 1 million people rode it. It was a very great staple coaster, and it still is today. And it had a really ambitious layout with a really unique design. And of course, British people hadn't seen that before unless they'd been to America or, of course, Europa Park and places in Europe. So, for the media merchandise that the ride was involved in, apart from the Winter Olympics of 1988, you also had the Blackpool Pleasure Beach scenario, which appeared in the original Roller Coaster Tycoon in 1999. And of course, there was a revolution in that scenario as well when it had the Iron Brew sponsorship. There was a few other roller coasters, but I'm not too sure because I don't think I've actually ever played through that scenario despite actually owning Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I will make sure to check that out. And for the merchandise side of things, which can be found in the Chalet Suisse shop, which is underneath the Avalanche station, and that also sells a lot of ice creams and sweets in there as well. So, of course, once you've come out of your ride, you can opt to have a photo, which was taken on the ride, or you can, get some merchandise or some sweets. And of course, the Avalanche jumper, which you've seen here, which is a Christmas style knitted jumper, that is £39.95. I don't believe they do kid sizes in this anymore. I didn't see it when I went to the park just a week ago, so I'm not too sure if they're actually selling that anymore. But it is a really nice fabric and a really nice texture. It's really soft and it's nice and warm, but not too warm that it's hard to wear at any other point then when it's the coldest in winter. Of course, there is also the Avalanche keyring, which is a sort of branded metal, and that's £3.95. Of course, it does come on a ring, so that you don't have to fiddle around and attach it to, your keys or anything, individually. And that, of course, has the Avalanche logo and also the Pleasure Beach logo too. So there is also the Avalanche beanies. It's £10.95 for this black one here with the smaller Avalanche logo, and £12.95 for the one with the Avalanche A's and also the little bobble at the top, and the logo similarly here. You do then also have the Avalanche gloves at £12.95. These do come in just that one colour. They used to come in a black as well, similar to the beanie, but they no longer do that. But that, of course, has the Avalanche A and some little waves on it as well. These are the same, all of these are the same fabric as the jumper, really soft knitted fabric, and they're really comfortable to wear. I definitely recommend if you do like them, especially in the winter time, then I would definitely recommend that you do pick one of these up because it's really comfortable and it's really nice and warm, and it's a great option for a Christmas jumper as well. And also, you do have the Avalanche scarf. This is £12.95, and it's a pretty long scarf with some tassels at the end, and this is seen here, with the Avalanche logo knitted onto it. I believe there is also a cup which is the same price as a scarf, and that also is really nice with the embossed Avalanche logo, but it does look quite similar to the Revolution one, which is also red and has a white logo on it, so I'd make sure to check that it definitely is the Avalanche one because they do look very similar. So for the accidents that unfortunately happened on the ride, I thought I'd list these in a separate section. In 1994, 10 people were hospitalised when the block brakes outside of the station abruptly stopped the train. Of course, here you can see after the helix of the ride towards the end, this is actually where the block brakes start. So this might have been where this one happened. I believe this isn't the one that happened in this section. But of course, 10 people were hospitalised due to back injuries and things relating to whiplash. So there was no people that died, luckily. And then for 1997, the train did actually jump on the brakes, which is actually the one seen here. It was featured in a documentary about the park in 1998, and it caused the train to crash into itself. I believe it was at the front of the train, not the back, which is seen here. And it left one boy with bruised ribs, and it was taken to hospital. Luckily, he'd recovered from his injuries, and he hadn't broken any ribs, fortunately. But of course, now the brakes at that section to avoid any further injuries. They have actually added a certain point where it kind of slides the wheels in a little bit better, and they've added some things to make it a lot safer, and it'd be very, very rare that this would ever happen again. And of course, you can see it here, they made sure they got paramedics on site in case anyone else was injured, but luckily there was no other people who were hurt. Of course, for the review of the ride, I do, before I start the rest of this segment, think that it's an absolutely incredible ride that's worth a ride for anybody. It's appropriate for any child that's tall enough to ride it, and it's great for anyone who just likes a nice thrilling ride. Of course, it can be a little intense in some bits, and it has a really smooth and intense layout, including all of these different snaking bends, and of course the helix at the end going into the brake run. Of course, it does look like it's a lot of the same thing, but when you're on the ride, it feels really fast and snappy, like a snake. There is actually a segment, which is right here, called The Snake, and of course, it's a really fun ride, and it makes it a really unique bobsled coaster that, is fun for all riders. I think a lot of bobsled coasters aren't as intense because they're trying too hard to be a family ride, that they kind of lose the intense factor, and the layout doesn't flow straight down like a bobsled, and you can tell they were inspired by the Great British bobsled team for this ride, and it was a really perfect sponsorship because of the way they structured the track to almost make it look like the sort of Olympic track that you would see them go on. And although it does have a through, it has a slower throughput because it can hold only a maximum of 2 trains, one being stationary and one on the circuit. It is a really worthwhile ride to queue up for. Of course, the queues, if it is going just outside of the sort of rope barriers which are right outside of the station, then you're looking at about 45 minutes. If it goes past those rope barriers which are in the contained area by the station, then you're looking about an hour, and it's very common to see that even on quieter days because, of course, once you're in the queue, more people start to come in, and it does get really busy, but it is really worthwhile queuing up for at some point in the day. And of course, it does get quieter at some points, and it is quite quiet when it first opens, so I'd say first coaster of the day, you might want to look into this. Of course, sometimes it does open at 11. It does also have a nice photo point, which is in this helix, so you do get a picture with all your hair flying up and all the wind in your face, so it does make for quite a comical photo opportunity, which you can get in like a key ring, in a little photo, in a glass frame, in a snow globe. You can get it in a variety of different styles, this photo, and of course they are quite funny. And there is also a lot of merchandise. The shop's really nice. Of course you do walk down the steps into the photo area and then out into the shop as you exit the ride. So of course on your way out you can always pick up some merchandise, pick up a drink if you are a little bit parched after all that wind in your face, and it does really make for that memorable experience, especially for fans of the coaster, because all the merchandise is in a really accessible place. Of course that's the same with a lot of rides like Icon and things like that, but this is a really great one for memorabilia in my opinion. It does also have some really nice theming outside that's themed around the Alpine sort of theme. You do also have Alpine Rally, which is right next to it, and also the Eddie Stobart Alpine Ride. And it does have a really nice element of foliage and theming around it. And you can also see it onto Revolution, and you can look out onto the park and see the big one and parts of Icon, so it has a really nice view even though it's quite low down in the park. And also it does have the Alpine Bears which play music outside. I think they're a really nice element, and they do play sort of classic Alpine music. And also the bobsled in the station really is a nice touch. And also just the building itself is really nice because you can tell they cared about the detail to get it accurate and kind of have that Alpine Olympic type of vibe with all the different countries' shields and flags on the outside. And I think it's a really nice vibe over in that ride. So yeah, that's really it for this video. It's not too short, not too long, and I really do hope that this taught you something about the history of the ride. And I'm really grateful for some of the support and comments I've been getting on my past videos, especially my e-tickets and Speedy Pass video where I explain how to use them. I'm really grateful that people aren't shying away from asking questions in the comments. Of course, if you do want to know how to use your Speedy Pass and your e-ticket, then I definitely check that one out. But at the minute, I'm not too sure if Avalanche does actually have Speedy Pass operational, because when I went it wasn't on, so I definitely check that out when you actually go, because if you do get the chance to use your Speedy Pass on Avalanche, definitely worth it. But at the minute I don't think it's running with that ride. And yeah, I really do hope this helped. I hope it was entertaining, and yeah, this was just talking. Bye bye.